All right, gotta pump up my tires. They're at 12 psi. That's too low. $20. That's a little too high, but don't worry about that. The route that you're looking at right now is something I've been working on for the past 2 or 3 years to perfect. Sometimes I would route ride with GPS would get me up to a certain road that would where I couldn't cross through. There was actually two places where that happened. And after a few more rides, I was able to design this so that there were no places where I wouldn't get lost or I would find myself wanting to be on another road to get back more quickly. This is a 41-kilometer route that has basically 3 different downhill segments that are pretty fun to go through. And I guess I'll break this whole route up into 3 different videos so you can see how long it actually takes to go through each section. The first section that I want to talk about is actually at the 2 kilometer, maybe the 3 kilometer mark, 2 or 3 kilometer, right around here. And it stretches for about 4.5 kilometers. There's some uphill with it, and then but a long downhill, which has a mix of very, very rough paved sections and some rock double track, some dirt and mud that then eventually leads into some single track. Maybe the single track is about a kilometer or so before it finally ends in rice field roads. It's a great little place. It's almost worth going all the way out here just for that segment. If I guess I should blow this out. Let's zoom out a little bit here so you can see where everything is. This is in the peninsula of Izu, about 2.5-3 hours away from Kanto region of Tokyo and Yokohama, Saitama, Chiba. I'm coming from Shizuoka, and it takes me almost the same amount of time as it would take you if you lived in Yokohama, I think, even though Yokohama seems to be twice as far away. This place is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. It's not central Izu, where there's a beautiful winery. It's not West Izu, which is really hard to get to and most people don't go to. And it's not even in that area. Like, you see all this beautiful coastal area. It's not close to Atami, where lots and lots of tourists come to go to the beaches in summer. It's not in Mishima, which is a splendid little town to go to. Shuzenji is nearby. Shuzenji is probably maybe 30 minutes away by car, but most people just go to Shuzenji and then go down into Yugashima, where to see all the beautiful waterfalls, Joden Falls, Namesawa Gorge, and then Kawazu. So most people do not go to this area that I'm highlighting, and it really shows. Maybe over the course of 6 hours on my bike, total duration, I saw one motorcyclist. Usually I see maybe 2 or 3 people over that course of time. It's got a lot of ascents and a lot of descents, 1,400 meters of ascent and about 1,400 of descent. So it's about equal. And I start off right in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's a really great sweet spot. But in this video, I just want to highlight this one segment that I had already shown. I just love this shot here. there's something mysterious about it. There's something about a still photo that creates another dimension that you can't quite see in video. Maybe if you take a still of a video and you blow it up, that could also create a similar feeling. There's something about the stillness of it all. I also just love my Tamron macro lens. And I took some photos of flowers on the route as well. They're on left and right side of the road there. These are a wild hydrangea. And I learned a little bit earlier from the biology teacher I work with at school that the white part is actually called the calyx, or gaku in Japanese, and that attracts the insects to the flowering part, which is actually in this photo all the yellow specks surrounding the calyx and nestled inside them as well. Draw. Is this a jump? Nah. Wait. Oof. Uh-oh. Ooh. Last time I wanted to go down here, there was hunters. I guess there's a lot of wild boar or whatever the hell. Rot it out. Gosh. Okay. I don't even know. Gotta bring this all the way down. This is a little bit too steep for me at this point. But I think at this point I can do it. Let's see. Oof. All right. All right, baby. Well, gotta love it. Yeesh. Alright. That was awesome. Okay, now which way do I gotta go? Alright. Cool. Alright. This is a random thought, but a long time ago, I heard that Kurosawa Akira was in an interview and he was asked about one of his movies why he chose one shot over another. And he just simply replied, well, the other shot would have had an airplane running through the sky in it. And I think for all intents and purposes, most people compose shots a lot of times with that in mind. But I'll have to say that this second shot, I think, is much more indicative of what Japan is really all about. It's a country of industry. And I think in this case, hiding it takes away from the dynamism that you can create with this photo. In the foreground, we have these beautiful orange flowers in contrast with the white flowers. The orange flowers are actually an invasive species in Japan, and they are called the Okinkei Kigu. The white flower is called the Magaretto. In most cases, people don't like that orange invasive species because it can get everywhere. But in this case, I think it's used to create color in the area. In the midground, we have everyone's image of Japan. And finally, in the background, we have the backbone of Japan. Metal, steel, tubes. So, to recap, we've got bright orange and white flowers. We have the deep green of the rice fields and that gray silver industrial look in the background. I think that creates a really dynamic photo. I think this shot is also indicative of Japan. Those wild grasses, deep green leaves, and then cement surrounding all, trying to protect the nature. In this shot, we have a makeshift bridge crossing that same stream. Those simple metal poles formed together for that hiking path. But from a different vantage point, we can see all these beautiful contrasts of moss and running, flowing water, and the trees hanging over that same bridge. I'm also fascinated by what we can see on the micro versus the macro level. Here on the micro level, we can see these wild grasses growing through the rock, which is all moss covered. This isn't another part of the ride, but I think it's very indicative of what we can see in contrast to this shot. It's a very long shot through the weeds, and through the weeds we can see this winding road which almost becomes a weed in and of itself. And similar to the photo of the flowers in the foreground, rice field, and steel tubes in the background, I think we lose a lot of perspective and theme if I were to have pushed away the weeds and just showed a clear view of that highway. It would simply be a photograph which shows the contrast between country life, farmland, and nature. Instead, the winding concrete road fuses with the weeds in the foreground, thus creating new perspectives for the viewer. And then on that micro level, we have these incredible insects. This one's called the Omizu owl. Its Latin name, Actias artemis, and it's maybe a cousin to the Luna moth in North America. Zooming in even further, on the left side of that trail where I found that moth was this flower that might be called Daimonji So, but no one's really sure. It might be called that because if you look at the kanji for Oki, there's two strokes that go left and right, just like the flower petals go left and right at the base of it.